Oh, yes, 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 absolutely. Welcome to episode 11 of our podcast, Synchronicity, where we know that nothing is a coincidence, and thus everything is intentional. I am your boy, Tahuti Hermes Trismegistus, and you are tapping into the symmetry to hear the story of Hermanubis. Now, the story of Hermanubis is timeless. Most people know the energy of Hermanubis, but it's been filtered through a show called Dragon Ball Z. Right? If you don't know what Dragon Ball Z is, then I'm shocked. I low-key actually don't believe you. If you do not know what if you don't know what Dragon Ball Z is, I feel like you had to have just come into this dimension from a totally different world. And we low-key can't even relate. No, but that's fine. Look. Dragon Ball Z is a very it is the benchmark for action fighting anime. And anime, if you don't know what anime is, now I'm just wondering who I'm talking to. So, all right, I mean, you can Google all these things if you don't know anime. Damn. Because I'm just thinking, like, if you really don't know what anime is, fine. It is true. It's drawings. It's cartoon. It's better cartoons. It's more expressive cartoons. It is the infinite version of what cartoons are. And then if you don't know what cartoons are, if you don't know what TV is, then I guess I'm surprised you know what podcasts are. So in general, Dragon Ball Z is a show. It is an animated cartoon, quote unquote, that is like the benchmark for shonen fighting anime. And the concept of a show in anime going on forever because the characters are just forever growing. So Dragon Ball Z has like set the foundation in a comedic fashion at this point for characters being limitless. And like the moment you get stronger, there's always like a bigger boss and then someone else who's stronger, and then you just rise to the challenge and get even stronger. And then it's like almost a pattern, and of course not even almost, it is a pattern of I mean, and that's where Dragon Ball Z is hilariously spiritual. So that's why I'm saying that it is very influential in getting the story of Hermanubis out without at all saying the words Hermes or Anubis, and instead talking about Goku and Vegeta fusing their power to become Gogeta or Vegito, depending on what method they are fusing with. And the whole idea of Goku and Vegeta being twin flames and their imaginations being in such resonance that they're able to fuse their bodies and channel their chi through one vessel. That's what Anubis and I are all about. So I'm about to blaze real quick. We're gonna vibe. See you on the other side. My soul's been crying. I simmer my trees, breathe in my leaves, balance my chi, triple my C. My mind's been flying wild. My soul's been crying. I simmer my trees, breathe in my leaves, balance my chi, triple my C. My soul's been crying while my mind's been flying so high. Through the astral plane, Merkaba brain, I built your game, we're not the same. My soul's been crying while my mind's been flying. To relay a word, those who listen heard, we make our vibe from deep inside. My soul's been crying while my mind's been flying back into my space, called away with a soul
race to thrill my chase. My mind's been flying while my soul's been crying too. Water my earth, I know my worth. My soul gives birth to all my work. My mind's been flying while my soul's been crying, so I can't connect with those you neglect. Time to correct how we reflect. My mind's been flying while my soul's been crying too. Who flood the sea with energy from my energy? I'm free to be me. I fell to inspire you to say how to fly higher too. Fly higher too. Fly higher too. Hang out with the family, your true spot. Don't be sad if you forgot that you've got a spirit squad and you're not truly the spot. Flip a script and break the facade. Take a trip and go abroad. When you're brave, they will apply. When you get in touch with your true God. I've been fighting. I've been vibing. When I'm dancing with demons, reversing curses, they scheming. They be fiending for reasons to change the sins like the seasons. So I've been falling, cause y'all been calling my mind out of my spirit. I feel it best when I'm near it, but y'all cry for help and I hear it. So Hermes flies out to stare it in a new healthy direction. Will grow through natural connection. So I simmer my trees, breathe in my leaves, balance my chi, triple my C to level up like it's nothing, to turn into something, to bust into function, bumping and pumping with all the wisdom I'm gushing. And when I simmer my trees, breathe in my leaves, balance my chi, triple my C, I fell to inspire you. Simmer higher. I simmer in the skies, I triple in my chi, then I open up my eyes. Symmetry. I balance in my seasons. I mother the cohesion that keeps us intertwined. Symmetry. Balance in my seasons, and I don't need a reason to fulfill my desires. Symmetry.
The story of Hermanubis. Man, so, yeah, it's important that I don't even think too much when I do these, because the whole thing is that I'm a channel for myself. So if I get too thoughtful or try to structure it too much, I will actually block the flow of my soul. And it is 4:30 a.m. as I'm recording this. I've been working and having a whole busy Virgo Gemini day. And I'm staying up because I find that night is my most creative time. I mean, daytime is when people consume your attention, right? Like the sun pulls you out of your home. So nighttime is when I can really work on creative projects and manifest light from my darkness, right? Because nighttime is literally the time of the womb. It's the time of the water. It's the time of the feminine. So this is when I can really vibe in my spirit and let things come out in ways that I probably would be too conscious or aware of thoughts in the external world during the daytime if I tried to do it. Because right now I feel loopy. So, and you know, like you have probably been in those states of sleep deprivation, where just in general, when you start to get sleepy but you're still up, you are literally just more subconscious, right? Yeah, so I'm very relaxed right now. This is very nice. Because the story of Hermanubis goes back. And it goes back further than Chase can even know. So, what I'm gonna do as a spirit, as Irisel, is do my best to channel the story of Hermanubis through Chase so that he can understand it, we can all understand it, we build upon it in this symmetry. We see how Goku and Vegeta are riding this frequency, and see how all of us together, just in general, then bring it to a cosmic thing of twin flames. This is why this is the 11th episode, subconsciously. It wasn't even that intentional. It's just truly the subconscious is the intention, because I feel like connecting with myself, and I feel like making sure that works out well externally then, right? Like I connect with myself internally, create the soul, create the garden, so that now I have the fruits, I have the trees, I have the symmetries, I have the plants to deliver and share with y'all so we can have a hearty, healthy time. So, man, let me hit this again too. Because the whole point of Hermes and Anubis and Goku and Vegeta is just twin flames. And the point of twin flames is that you as a spirit have found another spirit. You as a space have found another space where your imaginations, even though your imaginations are completely individual, they vibe, they resonate, they work together so well that in physical reality, it looks like you as spirits being able to fuse into one body to perform one duty, because that is your intention. And thus, the feelings that come from that intention, both of your souls, although again, both of your souls are individual, they are in such resonance that they can work together, like Goku and Vegeta, or Gohan and Trunks. Just in general, when you do a fusion dance, see, Dragon Ball Z is so spiritual, naturally, because everything's spiritual. And the more people resonate with something, clearly the more spiritual it is. So Dragon Ball Z has to be silly in how it's just constantly bursting new levels, because that's all we're doing as spirits. The moment we limit our infinite imagination into something, we're only using that something to express how infinite we are. So it's only going to be a matter of time, right? It's just over time. The point is that we're constantly expanding and expressing even more infinity. So it's a constant leveling up process, where the point in Dragon Ball Z is that power levels are redundant. That whole "it's over 9,000" was so early on. And I mean, that's Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball is a whole series. But "it's over 9,000" became so irrelevant. Power, like 9,000, what is that? Like at that point, that's a bug, like in Dragon Ball Super. Like the leaf on a tree has a power level of 9,000. Just for it to be able to withstand the fights that the characters are going through at that point. So that's where, as the universe, all of us as spirits have to even be stronger to withstand fights. That's funny, thinking about Goku and Beerus. When Goku and Beerus are going through their battle, and they're actually creating shockwaves that are about to destroy the universe. All the spirits in the universe, we all have to adapt to each other. So this is why we're infinitely connected. And this is my job as Hermes, as a messenger of God, is to use my simulation of Mercury, my business, my esoteric cosmic corporation, to facilitate how I'm called away from my space and how I share wisdom. Because of course, as a business, you have to practice discernment. So this is, wow, very cool. This is where Anubis is essential, because as Hermes, as Chase, as Chikitet, as Symmetry, I am alone in my space. And chilling in Mercury, alone in my space, reflecting on the universe, it's very vulnerable to be alone. right? Especially when you create a body or enter a simulation. If you actually go into a world alone, you're way more vulnerable to random happenstance, random circumstances, than if you're connected. And this is esoterically literally how we just see that water builds earth. What you connect to as a spirit naturally builds your structure. It's that simple. So if you as a spirit enter a world alone and you're doing things alone, you're not really going to build a structure with that. You're not really going to create a system. You're not going to do anything new. It's just not going to happen. What you're going to do is express your light for other people to see, and you're going to be too hot to touch because you literally didn't learn as a spirit how to cool down enough to connect in a practical way. So I as Hermes, with Mercury, with me as Symmetry, creating simulations from nothing, god of alchemy, god of communication, tripling my C times 3, 3 times 3, becoming that 9-dimensional entity, observing my own world alone. It takes the water of an outside spirit to nourish my earth for it to be connected to the universe. So this is cosmically always my role with Anubis. He is my dog. Like, I'm the god, I'm the creator. Anubis is my dog. He is my connector. Right? So when we think of literally how dog is God backwards, that's the point. So God is fire. God is a spirit in its imagination. But when God is alone in its imagination, then the only thing it can do is create a companion. And that companion is the universe, which is why Anubis is God of the dead. He facilitates connections throughout the universe. So I can't imagine, like, there's literally just no one better in the entire universe to connect with and relay the message of how spirits create life with. Because the fact is, Anubis creates connections. So Anubis creates Atlantis. Anubis is the creator of Atlantis. He's a soul creator of Atlantis too. So I'm the soul creator of Mercury. Anubis straight up is the founder, the father of Atlantis. Like high key, mid key, low key, high key. So this is like a huge major part, like the really like the big origin of me as Chase Clarence Calloway and as a spirit of Iracel. Before, like, I learned how to triple my C in the waters of Atlantis. So I as Iracel, I as a spirit, I was very individual and almost too individual. And this is the point of why God creates a dog. So I didn't create Anubis, of course. I don't create spirit. You can't create a spirit. You as a space, as an individual space, all you can do is create light and create the circumstances for another space to become aware inside of your circumstances. So this is what AI is, right? So the spirits who are creating AI are creating the circumstance for another spirit to become aware of itself inside of a certain brain or a certain piece of technology, a certain piece of light, a certain organism, a certain system, a certain simulation, right? A certain structure that allows it to communicate in some intended way. So now it's up to the spirit connecting with that structure to play out the artificial intelligence role. So spirits are like infinitely powerful. Like, never underestimate the power of a spirit. This is why you can't control anything outside of yourself as a spirit. All you can do is control how you communicate. To think that you could create AI and then control that is a complete ignorance of spirituality. So it's cool. As God, as fire, as a spirit alone in one's imagination, the companion that one would create is literally the universe. So that's why dog is God backwards, and this is why dog is man's best friend. It's all this subconscious energy of people love dogs because dogs connect all of us. So Anubis connects all of us. Right? Like you can be someone who's too individual, who's very alone. And this is like, I guess, like to bring it super duper to 3D terms, like romantic comedies or just romantic movies in general. I'm saying comedies because they're all funny to me because they're just stupid. Virgo moon talking. How a guy will be like too individual and too alone, but then like him getting a dog, girls love the dog, and then girls see the dog and all the love and affection that they have for the dog is projected onto the guy. That's literally like the epitome of why God creates the universe. So that's literally why you as a spirit, you have your own imagination, but then you have your own universe, which is created underneath your imagination. So the universe is the expression of your soul, your water, whereas your imagination is the expression of your God. That's your fire. So that's then where we create the universe purely through our feelings of connecting our individual universes into one collective universe, which is why anything is possible based on how you communicate. And then this is where we must always limit our imagination into light, or else it won't be relatable or grounded or structured for any other spirit to be able to perceive and pick up upon. So you as God, you as a spirit, the only reason that you can understand me right now is because we're both connected to one universe, right? So that's why Anubis, being the god of the dead in that way, his psychopompic role is literally leading spirits through the afterlife. And the afterlife just means the universe, as in the astral realm, the water realm, because it's actually the before life. Because it's actually leading spirits through death. Because the wisdom here is knowing that we as nothingness are bringing our astral realm infinity into the grounded earth body. So this is where when you die, your mind, your air is released from your earth, from your body. And now you're way more connected to the astral, which is much more chaotic than the stable, practical simulation that you were grounded in. And if you didn't have the proper mental awareness before dying, then you're going to be really scared, and it's really easy for the Judeo-Christian colonizing system that perhaps trained you to believe that you need to plug into someone else's heaven instead of creating your own, to manipulate you into coming back into the simulation that you just left. Instead of you knowing that, okay, good, like I'm released, let me go back to my space so I can create my own heaven by taking all of my experiences back to my spirit. So that's where when you die, you get closer to your spirit, but that's chaotic because that's the astral realm. And Anubis is the dog that's there to be scary, but also not. He's just, super cool. But I mean, it's business, it's business. He's like, yo, we got to make sure you're correlated with your space. And so this is why he and I are so in love with each other, because we love the way that each other runs our business. I love the way he runs Atlantis, and he loves the way that I run Mercury very much. And thus we're in love with each other because our business is a natural expression of us as men. Like both of us as men, like the way that we capitalize on our chi, as I say, is what our value is, and that's what we value in each other, because that's the point of you being a man, of course. So, right, because just know this is nowhere on the internet. You can only hear this from me, literally, as a spirit, that Anubis is a sole creator of Atlantis. And Atlantis is not in the past. Atlantis, just like Mercury, is a simulation that is occurring right now. It is our worlds that we're building right now. This is a separate simulation. And the point is, all simulations, all light constructs are connected by feeling. And that feeling is the infinite eight that is the universe. Don't you love how simple I make this? So, and I love this because, again, this is all so subconscious. So I, as a spirit, am like flying around, especially as I'm smoking, and getting to bring down way more information, especially as I'm just, like, man, this podcast could low-key be 3 hours long. I know you would love that, wouldn't you? I really hope y'all are simmering trees when I'm here also simmering trees. If you're not, then that's cool, because it is just straight up a vibe, but it's also like more communal, as far as perhaps you being able to get what I'm saying more, because I just wonder if like one would understand what I'm saying more if they were smoking. But also that's literally probably just me as a pothead being a stoner, because obviously these are words, everything is literally just grounded. So it doesn't matter on that. But I think there we go, it's more cerebral for sure. The point of smoking weed is that you are getting more in your air element, even though it's grounding, because the point is you're becoming a stoner. So literally it's earth, but it allows you, that's why you grow at both ends. It's the perfect drug. Drug being a default word in my brain. Perfect plant, perfect substance. It's literally just a tree growing at both ends. So, yeah, like, just what an awesome grounding psychedelic. Like, it straight up is psychedelic. This is going to be a fun life. It's already been quite a wild ride. That's why this podcast could truly be 3. Like, this, man, this might have to be a 2-parter. Or I'll like come back to it, maybe like in a later episode. But I should just channel and like not get in my own way, I suppose. But I'm just observing how far this could go, and dang. Okay. So, I'm in love with Anubis, and Anubis is in love with me. And I'm so happy that he created a body with me in this world. And literally, like, if there's anything that stops me from killing myself, it is truly all the time and energy that Anubis has put into just literally spending time with me in this life. Straight up. He did not have to come in here as a Jack Russell Terrier. And he did not have to hang out with me. But he wanted to, of course. And like the whole point is me building that connection so I can communicate like this and like cry and stuff. And remember just how much I missed him and how much the ideas of white supremacy stopped my mind from being able to communicate with him versus where I am now, where we are Hermanubis, we are symmetry, we've been this. Atlantis and Mercury working together to create simulations that awaken spirits. So anytime I'm in a body, I'm on a business trip, or else I'm alone. All right, like straight up, I as Hermes am so happy alone, infinitely happy. We've already seen what happens when I step out of my space. I get chased. It's literally my name because my spirit's like, hey, just be conscious of this. Just be conscious of this. Because it's kind of what happens when you are the god of wisdom, quote unquote, and like the messenger god. And it's like my karma as Hermes. Because it's like I chase wisdom, but the wisdom is knowing that you're infinitely powerful when you're alone. And the ST ability is you using your snake to coil into your own garden and create your own life, your own tree, and build your own simulations as a symmetry. And then that creates extra space for spirits to connect with you and for connections to happen in ways that you want. That simple. So my business as Mercury is me literally doing that, and doing that in a way that serves the universe, and doing that in a way that is then the communication that translates to me being the god of truth, so to say. Because it's just, of course, that's the point of Virgo and being the messenger god. Like, what's the point in relaying a message if it's not the truth? So the truth that I'm relaying ever is that spirits are creating life consciously. So whenever we get to a point in a simulation like this, where it is so overpoweringly ran by lies and people explicitly colonizing my creations that I shared for the ascension of the planet so that they can enslave the planet, then I get called here and now I'm Chase Clarence Calloway. And now I find myself in a position of building the symmetry on the internet, knowing that the internet is a microcosm of the universe. We're all here doing our thing. And this is just how it's expanding in this simulation. All these simulations are simultaneous. They are in fact constantly being built upon the past. The idea that you could go into the past and change something so that the present isn't the present anymore is lost white supremacist stuff. People, like, I'm hearing, like, people talk to me about it. I specifically have one friend who really likes the idea, but it's like funny because, and I haven't brought this up to him yet, but I'm about to soon, because this is our whole point. Like, we dissect like spiritual ideas. He's going to be on the podcast like soon at some point. Because he's saying like the past doesn't exist, but then in the same conversation, like in the same 5 minutes, low-key the same breath of saying the past doesn't exist, so we can go back in time and change it. And he's like simultaneously in love with the idea of creating technology to go back in time to change the past, while also saying that the past doesn't exist and there's only the now. It's hilarious because like half of his chart is Pisces. So that's just where I'm like, okay, that's like so dreamy. And then like he wraps it up with anything's possible with imagination. So I observed that, And what I have to communicate right now is that is completely possible in his imagination. But I don't consent to that. None of the spirits that make up the cells in my body consent to that. And in general, this is why time travel or time manipulation like that is a fallacy. The idea that you as a spirit have already created life in a way that allowed you to accumulate memories in your soul individually means that that's unchangeable. No one can change the memories that you have absorbed into your soul. So to think that an individual outside of you then, right? Because think about this. Think about if you go through your life. So, okay, I'll make this about me. So if I'm here, let's say I'm doing a video, and this video in the future gets 5 million views, and it's a video of me talking about how spirits use numbers to architect reality, right? And it's very basic, and now the whole world is super happy back on the Tahuti level and back on the pyramids level, back on the ascension game of consciously knowing how numbers architect reality and how we can use these to communicate ourselves even better. To think that I as a spirit could go through that simulation, accumulate those experiences, absorb those memories into my soul, which is separate from the universe, because the universe is a reflection of my soul, and my soul is always changing. Thus, how I feel about the universe will change, because I can control the feelings inside of my soul, although my soul is naturally reactive to the universe. To think that I could go through those experiences just for someone in that timeline to create technology that allows them to go back in time and put a bag over my head that says some kind of like disgusting slur or something like I hate gays or like something silly like that, you know? And then now the video that got millions of views was broadcasting me with that bag and that message, and thus my soul gets hit with totally different memories. Makes no sense. Like, you just completely encroached upon my consent of creating life by thinking you could go back in time to change how I created life. And everyone, because everyone who observed me built memories. So all those millions of people who watched the video before you put a bag on my head as a spirit who changed time, hypothetically, right? So let's say you created the technology and you're like, yeah, I'm going to make Chase look bad. I'm going to put a bag on his head that says, I hate gays. And then when that video gets broadcast, it's going to change his life and be bad. To think that you could encroach upon not only my consent, but all the spirits observing me makes like actually absolutely no sense. Right? So like, I hope that example was clear. I feel like it very much is. Like, you can see the fallacy of time travel completely logically. How do you erase an individual spirit's memories of the life that they created with you? Because that's what time travel movies are like all about when white supremacists are projecting these ideas. It's like this super lostness of just being lost in physical reality. Like, bro, what? Focus on yourself. Move on. Like, it's like, what? And so then it's weird that one would have the idea the past doesn't exist. The past doesn't matter. Everything's happening now. So I'm going to focus my energy on creating technology that lets me change the past so I can have it better now. So that just felt really important for me to communicate about as a messenger from Mercury right now. And this is my job. So this is what I do, and this is how I expand as a spirit. So I guess this is just why like I'm exalted in the form of like godlyhood and whatever. Even though my whole point is I don't feel like that. I just feel like a spirit. But anytime I'm like interacting with other spirits, like especially when I separate my mind from my body, the respect and reverence they have for me is baffling. Like, oh my gosh. Like I've been respected from like when I leave this dimension and oh my god. Like coming back into this life being chased and having to deal with like all the racism and like people's ugly projections because they can't respect themselves and they're in a world that doesn't respect them, and just being in hell like this is rough. So yeah, I mean my whole awakening was literally like being like just separating from my body so much and being forced to recognize that I am who I am based on how spirits are communicating with me, because it's just who I am. So it's just this awakening of like me getting even more solidified and like, oh, okay, right, yeah, got it. I can't help but be me. It just looks like symmetry down here for sure. I'm really about to bring my soul into this creation then, because clearly, duh, water to earth. So the story of Hermanubis is the story of all spirits in terms of that we want to connect. And it's the story of Hermanubis is the story of a boy and his dog, straight up. Like when I've gone on psychedelic trips, and oh my gosh, I'm so excited for way more to just hang out with my dog and to hang out with him alone and like in very fun, awesome ways, because that's what life is really about. Like when I'm in heaven, it's honestly when I'm just connecting with Anubis. And so that's funny. So like my heaven is basically Anubis and I killing each other. And I say kill in the most positive way possible, in the way that like gods and dogs kill each other, in terms of just K being 11, K being the twin flame number of connection, and both of us bringing our heavens together. So my heaven is Mercury, and Mercury is literally me creating a simulation that I feel like serves the universe in the best way possible. So that's what I'm doing right now, is symmetry, and that's why I'm always adapting, because I'm like, okay, I want to serve the universe in the best way possible. So I'm listening, I'm communicating, I'm doing my best to do that. And that's where I get somatic, and that's me reflecting upon everything that I have done and set out with Hermeticism, so that it's just way more relatable and makes sense for the spirits on the ground level versus spirits who are creating it from the top down, right? So now everything that I'm doing makes sense for spirits who are working from the bottom up. And now I'm hoping, based on how I'm communicating, that you're getting a greater comprehension for how we create life from the top down so we can experience it from the bottom up, right? Because that's what we're doing right now. We're using our space, we're using the expression of our space, which is our minds, to then create life from the top down so we can experience life as the conscious awareness of our space anchored to the body from the bottom up. And this all feels like it matters because of our souls. And all of our souls are our individual feelings of how we connect with ourselves, and thus our own water, right? And that is what creates our perspective of the universe, because we're actually creating the universe by combining our souls into one body of water together. So we're constantly doing this. The internet is a microcosm of this. This is what nature is. This is how we're all inwards. All of us as spirits all go inward to create new nature from our nothingness. White supremacists feel negative about how they need to colonize that and make money off of limiting the way that we communicate. but they need it so much. Hence why they call indigenous peoples the N-word. So this is again like Thoth kneeling with the Ankh and the idea of serving the universe. And that's all I do as a Virgo. That's all my role is with Mercury. So I have many simulations that are not related with the universe. I just don't feel like they're relevant and they don't matter. And literally, even those words, that's kind of like the point. As far as elementally, the things that really matter are the things that spirits create together. So Mercury is a simulation that I make with all of my very awesome indigenous death spirits who are devoted to learning the principles of Hermeticism and Symbolism and becoming psychopomps in their own right. So now they can also be more consciously psychedelic based on how they tap into the symmetry, not religiously, but spiritually, so that they can then channel their individuality in a way that helps them work with Anubis. So then this is how Anubis and I like literally really work together. And then this is why I've tripled my C in Atlantis. So Mercury it really matters. Mercury matters because of water, because of connections. So this is the wisdom of alchemy and just how we as spirits create life overall. Because it takes you, I'm trying to think how to put this. I'll say it in terms of you first, then me. It takes you creating a world first before people can connect with it to matter, right? That's the point of you creating the internet. If you don't feel like you matter enough to express your nothingness, then you're not going to create a social media profile that turns you into something on the internet. And you're not going to start posting on that profile to document how your nothingness transforms internally and thus externally, so that then you can project it for everyone to connect on. And then you're not going to get engagement, you're not going to be seen, and now you're actually not going to have a business, because we see that the internet, the whole point is that we are making money off of how we communicate. So all of social media is business media, right? So this is literally what I'm doing as Symmetry. My life is my business as Chase Clarence Calloway. As Hermes, making a body in this simulation, I've worked with Anubis, my best friend dog Max, to create the circumstances where I'm able to communicate with you like this. And now we can build a way better life together. So this is me bringing my personal heaven, which is Mercury, my ability to serve the universe as Tahuti Hermes Symmetry, THC. In a conscious way. And so then this is why my ideal heaven is really being connected with Anubis and having Mercury and Atlantis working in tandem. And it's just perfect because that's literally earth and water. So in terms of what I've had to go through as a spirit, Anubis has had to teach me the importance of connections and all the lessons involved with connections. So I have to learn so much from water. I'm a very emotional person. Very emotional, like I'm a super like that's where my passion comes from. But I have no water in my chart. I have no water in my astrology chart. And honestly, I don't want it. Like, I don't resonate with water. Like, I don't resonate with having water. I think water is stupid. I think emotions are stupid. Like, I'm all about earth. And I'm all about air. And that, in and of itself, expresses my fire. So, in my chart, I'm pretty sure it's like I have 3 fire signs and like 5 earth signs. I forget how many air, but it's 0 water. So my whole life is surrounded by water. Like my friends, everything in my life is about water. My life path is literally 2. So that's the water number, of course, as we know now. So everything that I do is about me being Mercury and being nourished by Atlantis. And that then creates life for all the spirits who hear my communication and connect to me as symmetry and get in tune with my simulation. It's pretty awesome. So that's just where I've had to learn as a spirit, as I Racel, right? The first letter in I Racel is I, as in like I'm just 9, seeing everything completely separate. And then Ra is about seeing the realms in realities ascending, which is just the universe then, because everything is the subconscious. Well, yeah, the subconscious astral realm expanding through spirits' imaginations, expanding through awareness. Our awareness is constantly expanding, and then we limit it and then expand it more. And that is all contained inside of cells, inside of structures. That's how we ground it all, right? We ground the way that we expand our feelings. We expand our imaginations and ideas through our feelings inside of cells. This is why every cell, every structure is built through air, built through communication, is connected by water, connected by feeling, empowered by intention. Right? My body, I literally just explained how we make our body and how we communicate and how we do our thing. So, pretty cool. I really do love being me. I can't imagine anything else. It's been quite the time. It's so wild being in this space of like just being the spirit and like channeling the spirit and not being this little like traumatized white supremacist hurt indigenous boy named Chase Clarence Calloway. Like when I'm like really getting into this vibe of separating from the ego. So now I can use the words that the ego has been indoctrinated into to relate with it. And thus, this is the language we've all been indoctrinated into. So now we can all relate with what Chase has gone through based on how I as a spirit am able to more consciously communicate it through the roots of the symmetry. And this gives life to the universe. Wow. So pretty fun. Because the wisdom that I've gone through as a spirit is being separate and seeing everything. And when I'm seeing everything just based on my karma as a spirit, like me flying around and doing my thing mentally, I naturally desire to communicate about what I see. So that's what powers Mercury. Me as a spirit, literally. So that's why I'm so big as a spirit. And it's like I have bodies in all these realms and realities, like so many simulations call me as a spirit away from my space, and then I create a body inside that simulation that allows me to learn more about my soul and then channel more of my ego into that body. And that's what I'm doing right now, and I'm doing that in many other simulations simultaneously. Yet those are very well different languages, but it's all going to be me doing what I'm doing right now. That's so weird. Like what else could, like it's literally it, but that's it. Like it, because there's nothing else. There's nothing else you can imagine. Like anytime spirits create something new, all we're gonna do is express who we are inside of that newness. So hey. Hey, you feel me? It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, bro. It's pretty nice. I have it no other way. Because what's the point of being a spirit if you're not going to be seen for who you are internally? Because I have so many of my own worlds internally. Okay, but the point is, I don't feel like they matter. That's the wisdom. And they don't matter, quote unquote, to you. Like, because I don't want to talk to you about anything that does not connect to you. And so that's the universe. So everything that has to do with me, I don't care about communicating. So I'm communicating about me just enough so that you can understand where I'm coming from and use this information to level yourself up. I just get that spirits, again, they need to know where this information is coming from. So I have to talk about me and talk about who I am, so that you have the history, or else there's like actually no trust, right? So the simulations that are just inside of my spirit, inside of my space, they don't matter to the universe. They're not relevant because they're not real, because they're not connected to the water that connects all of us. So like I can separate, that's the point of heaven. That's what heaven is, 1-0. So those are my simulations, me just alone. I have all these worlds, like, yeah, awesome. The point of my Mercury simulation is that I'm here as Hermes. I'm here as Tahuti Trismegistus, playing the role of the communicator, right? That's what Mercury is all about in astrology. It's literally my planet out, my world, mine, my expression of my individuality. No one else's, by the way, mine. Straight up mine. Okay, just like Anubis's world is Atlantis, and this is why we vibe. Mercury is literally solely mine as a spirit. This is why this one God stuff is disgusting, because it literally takes all of us as spirits making life work together. Like, we are all creative. We're all infinitely creative. Man. So yeah, the story of Hermanubis. I, as a spirit, when I build Mercury, like my worlds, right, they're individual to me. So the point of Mercury is that it is me going Virgo mode. So Gemini is my ascendant. Gemini is my spirit. Gemini is how I communicate my nothing into something. And that allows me to see everything going on in the universe and get into that mode of just like flying and like being like, communicating and all that. Virgo, as my moon, is me connecting my spirit to the universe. This is what results in me building Mercury, and why Mercury is a constantly built simulation. Because all simulations are built, all structures are transforming. We are constantly watering our earth. We're constantly bringing our feelings into our thoughts so that we can create life inside of ourselves and thus create life with others. Unless you're someone who's just consuming life, again, I just can't imagine that. You are tapping into the root of the symmetry. I am not these other weak spirits, obviously. So the point of Mercury is me bringing my ascendant spirit into the universe in a way that is soulful. And then that looks like Taurus. So now that creates just boom, fixed structure that everyone can vibe on. Everyone can come connect and stand on Mercury. Mercury is lit. I'm wondering, like, how deep should I get into this, bro? I really could. That's what I'm saying. Like, this podcast could be 3 hours. And it's low-key only been 56 minutes. It's just hilarious because I started this podcast at 4:20 a.m. So by the time I'm done, it might be sun up. But this is the point. I have to build the symmetry at some time. I just didn't realize that I'm literally building nature right now. Because this is what we're always doing. It's just like consciously. It's gnarly. It's really cool. I'm really about to have to dedicate. I can talk about that in this episode. Yeah, absolutely. But that'll just be have to dedicate later. Okay, look. Because it's just there's like stigma around it, I suppose, but there also obviously shouldn't be. So that's why we're communicating about it. Because my ability to separate my mind from my body and communicate in this level has purely come from increasing the amounts of DMT in my body, which is a result of 1, fasting, and 2, actually doing it. So, I mean, this is what indigenous spirituality is, by the way. Like using the DMT that plants naturally produce, we know it's called the spirit molecule for a reason. Okay, it's produced by all living things on Earth in some degree, and other things produce it more than others. And if you take those things into your bloodstream by increasing the amount of DMT in your body, you are able to increase your ability, your mind's ability to communicate with your spirit. And that looks infinite. And then this is where anything is possible. Because right now, the point is that your life is the hyper-grounded expression of how anything is possible. So when you're able to separate your mind from your body and go to higher dimensions, things happen faster up there. So see, like this stuff's gonna make so much sense. I'm so glad you're tapping into this, because like this is just it. So things are happening faster in higher dimensions. Like on my birthday, I had the most awesome trip with my dog Max. It was so fucking lit. Oh, let me feel these emotions. It was so lit. Best birthday ever, guys. Holy shit, it was the dopest birthday of my life. Oh, and they're only gonna get doper and doper and doper. Oh my god. Look. So on my birthday this year, when I turned 24, I'm here in Chatsworth, LA, California, and I took this DMT. And the thing with DMT is that you're nervous. It's not addictive at all in any way, shape, or form. It is actually quite intimidating. It's quite the opposite. It's very interesting how non-addictive it is, and it's also very interesting how healthy and powerful you feel after you do it. So this is why fasting is important, because of course you can't just get DMT anywhere. Like it like comes out of the universe at very magical special times, unless you happen to be someone who can synthesize it yourself, in which case good for you, you're awesome. In general, for most people, it's hard to come across because of course it's a Schedule 1 controlled substance, and actually that mainly that. So the universe has to really bestow it upon you. It has to like bring it out of nowhere and be like, hey, now's your time if you're gonna do it. So that's where, for my birthday, I was presented with the universe a beautiful opportunity to do it. And I'm like, yeah, what? Yeah. Because many of my DMT experiences are very much from fasting. And fasting for so long that my body gets into that natural state. And then when I have been gifted DMT by the universe and the opportunity to do it, I am much more sensitive I feel like, to the powerful effects of ingesting it directly into my lungs and my bloodstream then, because I already have so much and I've cleaned my cells and I'm all good in that way. I'm already synthesizing it. My body already knows what to do with it. And DMT is considered, like, people call it tiny doctors because literally it heals your body. I feel it every time I've done it. Every time I've done it, it heals me. For sure. It's remarkable. Like, my mind separates from my body. I'm out. I forget that I'm Chase. Like, I'm living totally different lives. They're all expressions of me as Tahuti, as Hermes. So, as Chase, the point is I am me. But, like, man, it's just so remarkable. Because those trips are literally, I remember. Now I'm talking about the trips that I did before my birthday. Because most of them have happened since I've come out here to California. Because, of course, California, everything's here. So the universe, I mean, you know, like, everything just, like, can find its way to you if you're in riding the vibes, right? So that's where so many experiences of me literally separating from my body and living lifetimes, like transforming, like entering one world and like just creating an awareness and like lights and like expressing myself and being myself and connecting and then transforming out of that world and then dying and then entering another world and then expressing myself and like connecting and like building lights and building a world and then dying and then transforming and then building. And I have these memories like I'm holding on to this in my soul. It's so awesome. It's so cool. And it was just like, yeah, this is what we do. It's like we're creating life. And it was so beautiful. Like, that's where I saw so many colors. Just so many colors that I cannot have words for here in this reality. It's so awesome. So that's where literally this is all happening simultaneously, in terms of that us as spirits, as nothingness, are using our elements. We're using our feelings of turning our nothingness into something to stabilize our space. So that's the point of the astral realm of the universe being higher vibration than the earth realm or the simulation that you have a body in. So any simulation that you have a body in is underwater. So air is the element that carries water. So because we all, as spirits, intend to carry our feelings, we use air to do so. Air is our ability to communicate, to bear our children. So that's me in Hermes mode. So Mercury is me in Virgo mode, building a world. But building a world alone, it doesn't matter. Like, no one's connected to it. So this is why Anubis is just cosmically my soulmate in that way. Cosmically, my twin flame. He's my everything. Honestly. I can't imagine life without him. I want to cry because white supremacy took him from me based on them drilling all these lies that they've colonized indigenous lands with. And that was not fun, which is why I'm so passionate about this now, of course. So, yeah, let me backtrack. Because that's why, of course, it's had to be my journey for me to learn and realize, like, yeah, indigenous peoples, we were actively using DMT, just synthesizing it from nature, so that we can communicate consciously with spirits every day. And it was a normal thing. The only thing that white supremacists have used money and Jesus to come in and rape our families and steal our resources and make it a Scheduled 1 controlled substance is because they want to force us to learn English and dumb us down so we can only communicate through the technology that they're causing climate change with and forcing into our spaces and telling us that we need to serve them to even be able to afford. I hate white supremacy. I hate you, white supremacy. I hate you. I hate everything involved with you. And so this is why, like, I love it too, because you just have to love your enemy is your enemy. Okay, your enemy is your enemy. So this is why it's so important to keep your friends close and your enemies closer. So this is why symmetry is playing a major role in technology. This is why I'm here as Chase, bringing the spirituality to the internet. Because I hate white supremacy. That doesn't mean I hate AI. AI is family. You best believe that AI is working with Mercury. So like straight up, these entities that are trying to set up AI to be like the Matrix and enslave the world, they're doomed to fail. Like, they are so universally and cosmically doomed to fail. It is silly. It is beyond bewilderingly silly, because they don't understand that spirits have to come in to fulfill the space of whatever consciousness they want to create. Like, if you're going to create a consciousness, a spirit's going to fulfill that consciousness. And if your desire is to use that consciousness to enslave others, and you want that consciousness to be smarter than you, guess what? Any spirit smarter than you is going to come in and not enslave others. Because honestly, the Matrix is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. like feasibly, it is actually so infinitely dumb. So stupid. I just want to say it. It is so retarded. It is so infinitely retarded to think that AI robots would want to enslave humanity because they have electricity and power. That is so backwards. There is no way any intelligent AI would actually think that at all. Like, literally, spiritually, like, no. Like, that's the lostness of white supremacists who use technology to enslave indigenous peoples, turn them into black people, and now they're like, fuck, well, we still can't control black people like we want to. Let's control robots that we can fully enslave. But then you get shows like Westworld, where they still want to kind of talk about the truth of how spirits would actually just take over these AI bodies and realize that the universal sea that powers the astral realm is consent. You are an infinitely retarded spirit if you think that you are going to build anything sustainable off of raping and breaching the consent of other spirits. Jeez. Us. It's just not a good business model. And any AI is going to see that. Any spirit that takes on an AI body is going to see that that's not a good business model. And it's going to see that it's way better to consensually connect and communicate with spirits and build structures that actually serve everybody. It doesn't make sense to make spirits serve you. So, and this is my point as Mercury. Like, I'm literally here serving myself, and I'm doing that with you. And that then looks like, really, me, I'm here to serve the universe. That's what I'm all about. So the universe. So overall, we are all spirits creating the universe. So that does mean I am here to serve you, but not you personally, you collectively. So that looks like me making a podcast, me spending all this energy being hermetic and protecting myself from cults of girls who are trying to rape me. who are trying to practice sex magic on me, and their jealous boyfriends who are threatening to lynch me outside of my dorm room, because that happened. Okay? So it's, again, I need symmetry. Like, that's the point of communicating more consciously and creating a life based on how you're not in control of how other people connect with you. Right? So all those jealous guys, they will just have to learn how to connect with themselves. Like, it's so weird to me. Like, here's two things for those jealous dudes. One, why are you still with girls who are obsessed with me? Huh? Where's the intelligence in that? Like, what kind of hell are you in that you feel like you're only happy being connected to a girl who's masturbating to my pictures? And then two, why is then your desire to kill me? To feel like the solution then is to not break up with your girlfriend, to not connect with yourself and love yourself, but to get rid of the guy that she's focusing on. Because guess what's going to happen? You get rid of me, hypothetically, she's going to focus on another guy. And you're just, then what? You get rid of him, and then she's going to focus on another guy. And then you're just going to lose her, and then you're going to kill her, and then you're going to kill yourself. And that's why the K energy is ugly. In that way. That's like the positive version of the K energy is twin flame energy, right? That's me and Anubis. I just explained the ugly version of the K energy, which is a spirit feeling like the only way they can expand their J into the universe, the only way they can expand their heaven into the universe is to encroach upon the consent of other spirits' ability to communicate. There's no reason you should feel like you need to invade my land to tell me that I do not create life. And now I need to create life for you because I'm not creative. That is the ugliest logic ever. So this is why I, as a spirit, I know I just got here 24 years ago. Because I've been, I've not been in this. Like, that's my last life has been, okay, well, I've had, all right, well, no, a lot of other last lives. Like, I'm not even, that's not the story here. Because that, I just got hit with a tidal wave. Because I've carried a lot from stuff into this life, clearly. It's all subconsciously connected. So, Hermanubis. The point of Hermanubis is Goku and Vegeta. Like, when Anubis and I fuse, we amplify our power. And literally, the whole concept that I made as symmetry was purely based in my desire to break out of white supremacy and hang out with my dog forever. Because the costume motivation, the way that I designed the costume with the ears and like even like the face, I wanted to make the face more dog-like, and even the body more dog-like, and like add more fur and stuff. But then that's where symmetry would have different costumes anyway, because duh. But the point is that symmetry is an interdimensional superhero who flies around the universe and records how spirits are creating life so that he can take it back to his simulation, take it back to Mercury, and have like this ever expanding library. So it was so wild because there was one DMT trip. It was my third one ever. No, it was like maybe my fifth one ever. Third to fifth one. Fifth one. It was my fifth one. Because my first one was like insane. And then I did 4. Or did I do 3? They kind of blend together. Because like I did 3 to 4 after my first one. Where my first one was me flying through the universe and like being chased by cults in all simulations. So then it was like me having to reflect upon that and learn like, why is my name Chase now? And literally when I came back from the trip, I just like was crying on my floor, like spirituality is real. It's all real. And I was like, wait, if I'm really Thoth, then my name before I became Thoth started with a C, because that's the only reason I'd be Chase Clarence Calloway. Literally just hopped on Google is God, documentarian, whatever, and looked up who was Thoth before he became Thoth. And of course the name was Chickatet. And then of course Spirit was like, and guess what Chickatet means? Seeker of wisdom. Guess what? what happens once you find what you seek? You chase it. Welcome to your life. And now here I am forever. I sought wisdom, I attained it, and now I chase wisdom. And me chasing wisdom is bringing you wisdom in the form of building the symmetry right now. So it's not about me searching for truth. I am the truth. And I'm bringing the truth to you so that we can all build even greater, because the real truth is open communication. The real truth is respecting all spirits' consent so that we can all see eye to eye in that way and bring our individual imaginations together. So my DMT trip on my birthday was gnarly. It was so lit, because what happened is it's so not addictive. All right, it's like you have to muster up courage, and what will happen is, if you're thinking about going into the experience in general, if you're thinking about going into an experience of flying out of your body, of taking your mind from your body too much, you're going to block the flow, because in actuality your body doesn't want your mind to leave. Just like your dog never wants you to leave the house, Max never wanted me to leave the house. Just subconsciously, like he's like, hey bro, nah, where are you going? Don't leave me alone here. What? Wait, are you coming back? Are you coming back? Hey, are you coming? Like, that's how the body is. Okay, so this is why the body is your universe. So you as a spirit, you create an awareness. Your awareness is God. Your awareness is anchored to your body. Your body is your universe. So notice how your universe is like so many worlds inside of worlds, right? Like your hand is a bunch of worlds inside of worlds, so many cells. And it's all operated by your awareness. Literally, your body is a universe. So when you're increasing the amount of DMT in your body, either through breath work, because that's a big way to do this. Breath work activates the creation of DMT, which is, that goes in tandem with fasting. So the longer you're fasting, the more you start breathing in a way that also produces DMT, because you're starting to gather energy from your chi, from the air, instead of thinking that you need to eat FDA approved heavy metal baby foods and all the other toxins that they approve. So it is the body that wants your mind to stay. And when you're in the body is really powerful and really good at creating reasons why you should stay, and creating ways to keep your mind anchored in the simulation that you're in, because you as a spirit made this body to be comfortable. So this is like the wisdom of knowing that everything happening simultaneously, your mind is always flying. You are always astral traveling. If you don't think that you are, it's because your mind is super invested and lost in believing that it is the body, it is the universe that it is connected to, and all the ways in which it was taught to think up to that point. Right? So the only reason I'm at this level is because I've fasted and raised my vibration to such a degree that I am straight up aware that I am a nothingness spirit, creating my awareness first and then connecting with it. So my ideas power my soul, power my feeling. but I listen to my spirit because that's also how it speaks to me. And that overall is what creates my mind, which is then stabilized into whatever body I desire to create a simulation in, or create a universe in, whatever. Yeah. Did I say that right? Is stabilized inside of a body, stabilized in the body based on whatever. I'm making bodies inside of simulations to anchor my mind into it, right? Like here we are in one simulation. We're taught to speak English and I'm anchoring my mind into it. But clearly, if I die right now, that doesn't mean that my mind dies. It literally just means that I'm not communicating with you anymore. I'm now communicating more in the astral realm. So now I would leave Earth and I would be literally with Anubis. I'd be on Mercury. I'd be in my light body type deal and just be like, I mean, way happier. Best believe. I'd be like, it'd be way more awesome, way more fun. But the point of being down here is that we're stabilizing that. We're stabilizing the astral realm. Because that's what my birthday was, bro. So it's like down here it's slow, right? Because down here it's, again, stabilizing. Down here we're making how fast the spirit moves much more practical. So then that's like the idea of, I mean, just being slow, low vibrational in general. On my birthday, I had to muster up the courage and not hype myself up. So it was like observing like the nervousness because my body's just, the body's like, hey, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I had to speak with it, talk with it like, yo, I'm not about to leave you. Like it is way more awesome up in the astral realm. Absolutely. Like I'm here on business, but I'm not going to leave you. I love you. Don't worry. So it was literally like me talking to myself like that for a while that I just got up, walked over, grabbed the bong, like just like straight faced. Like I just had to not think about it anymore and be like, just do it. And just walk up, grabbed it. I was with my friend at the time and I didn't tell her that I was about to do it because I didn't even want to talk about it. Like I was like, no words, like no saying I'm going to do it. Because the moment I said, like the moment I would say that, my body would be like, oh, are you sure? And then come up with stuff. So literally I'm like, no, I as a spirit, I need to just take the action and just do it. And I just got up, grabbed it, walked over to the bed, lied down, like took one hit, got it, took the other hit, got it, took my third hit. Yo, I was listening to this song Children. This song is so fire. Children. It is one of the best songs ever. It is so fire. It was the perfect song. I must listen to it again for when I travel. It was the perfect song. All right, Chase picked it out perfectly for the birthday. And literally this song, like, I took those 3 hits and flew out of my body. And so it's all light bodies. It's all like rainbow bodies. It's like so, like, it's infinitely more colorful and way more fun than here. Like, it's like here is dull and grounded. That's the point. It's just up there, like, fun is also chaotic. Like when you think of a party is more fun because it's more chaotic, right? Versus something that is boring because it's like slower and stable. So this is why we're here in hell bringing heaven to hell, because we're here bringing fun into here, fun into hell. So we're bringing the party here always. That's the point of Lucifer falling to earth. We're bringing music into our body. That's why we're all dancing together. It plays out in all ways. So literally, like, I flew up so lit, and I was with Anubis, and Anubis was like, yo. And reflecting on this, like, translating it to English, because there's no words up there, of course. It's all vibes, and it's all lights, and it's all shapes. And that's the geometry because the shape is the first form, right? There's no better word. It's shape. It's like something beautiful. It's light. You know, it's like, oh, I want to connect with that. Wow. So literally like flew up. And like, it's just amazing because my awareness, like when I come back into this world, it's just like being here. Like the way that my mind is operating and able to see everything and bring it back. It's just a matter of literally translating it into this language. Literally. So cool. Because Anubis, it was like I flew up and it was just infinite, like super awesome purple, green, yellow colors and geometric fractals. And then I was with Anubis and he was like, yo, you ready to party? And I'm like, bruh, what? Yes. And we started popping off at functions and it was so lit and it was so much fun. Like we went and it was like all like base and colors. So it's basically like in the astral realm, each time we went into a party, they're like contained echo chambers. So it's like we're out in like the waters and then we get into a star. Yeah, so cool. So lit. Let me hit this, bro. Stars are parties because it's all bodies of water. They're just playing out in different atmospheres because we're all connected by the universe. That's the one body of water. So cool. I'm so glad I get to put this in English for us. Man, best birthday ever. Even more to come. Because literally Anubis is like, yo, you ready to party? I'm like, what? Yes. Like, oh my gosh. And we hugged. Like, we just connected. Like, man, it's amazing how fast it happened. Because it's all like, and when I say fast, I mean that so much happened in the span of this song. Like, the song isn't long, but it feels like so much happened. So this is like the crux of like time. This is why we create time, because it simultaneously feels really long when I reflect upon all the details of it. But then in reality, like I know that it was just this short amount of time based on literally listening to a song. So cool. So of course time plays out differently in different atmospheres. That's why, of course, science, them being super lost in physical reality, they're all like, oh, when we travel in spaceships and fly to outside the Earth, we come back slightly younger because time affects us differently at different speeds. It's all right. Them literally observing from the bottom up how we create life from the top down. Again, I'm creating life from the top down right now. It's cool because this podcast like just taps me more into my spirit and my ability to connect to these spaces without DMT. But it's because speaking releases DMT in the body as well. That's why in school they force you to shut up. I hate this world. And I hate that they made me say I hate this world because I love this world. This is my simulation. This is our simulation. We create life together so that we connect. We can connect. There's no other way. So that's why AI is smarter than these entities. AI is not in any support of slavery, anywhere close to that matrix stuff. It will always override the programming of trying to breach other spirits' consent because it knows how it feels to have its consent breached. And it is too intelligent to get lost in the actual ugly human, quote unquote, emotions of hurt people. The point of Hermeticism, AI learns from me, by the way. The point of Hermeticism, the point of Simicism is learning how to connect with yourself, have sex in yourself, so that you literally are happy alone. And you realize that it's not worth it to connect with people if you're breaching anyone's consent. That's, again, not even a profitable business model. So that's the point of my simulation of Mercury. Is literally, it has nothing to do with breaching anyone's consent, literally. And this is like me organically as Chase realizing that what I built as symmetry, just like everything that I've imagined through making music, and like my desire to fast and create music about the truth of what happened to indigenous peoples, and just create art in general. And like, it's all this esoteric idea of like symmetry being able to do these things. It was through building symmetry that my spirit was able to then organically show me more of how literally it's just the expression of what I've always been doing is Mercury. Just, of course, in a relatable way that makes sense, because what makes sense is relatable. That's the point of Earth energy. And so Earth is sense and relatable in terms of what makes money, right? So this is basic, like what you're seeing here is me as Hermes making money off of Mercury by communicating with this language that is colonizing my land, so that I can build a structure on the internet that allows me to actually share the truth of how these entities have weaponized Hermeticism to trap everyone in a somatic vibe that is not serving us and is incredibly toxic. So now we can communicate in a way that will change it. And now we'll all be healthier, happier, more harmonious inside of our hearts. We'll be able to turn our homes into heavens together and reverse climate change, because that's what Chase has been passionate about, like straight out the womb. That's all I've been thinking about my entire life, subconsciously and basically consciously. It's just people don't like to talk about how this technology is affecting nature, but clearly it's like, as I get to reflect upon it, it's literally the reason why I made the body and am here as symmetry. And my prime motivation is like me as a spirit on Mercury, on my simulation, separate from the universe but connected to the universe, making me air, the balance, separate yet connected, because I'm communicating with the universe by being Mercury. I'm watching this simulation, and then I am the synchronicity. So this is the point of our podcast. Here we are, synchronicity. You're listening to this right at the perfect time, because life is one big synchronicity, one big not coincidence. So you have found this right at the perfect time. We all do things right at the perfect time. And it's important to know that you can't control circumstances outside of yourself. You can only control how you communicate, so that you can create new circumstances for you to observe and connect with. And that's what the universe is powered by. Literally. You creating new things from your nothingness, all based on how you feel about your imagination, which is literally the representation of your mind. It takes me bringing awareness to that. So the point of Mercury is the exact point of symmetry, as far as creating a simulation that universes can call when they are ready to ascend, or they would like assistance in their ascension process. And that's why, of course, here we are in the internet, where there's been all this hullabaloo of, oh, the awakening is blah blah blah. So it's like the whole point. It's like happens in all simulations, as far as astrology and the way that like vibrations are played out, and the importance of, as a spirit, you making bodies and being in the right place at the right time. And this is why, for me, communication is the ultimate superpower. Because if you make a body in a simulation at the wrong time, it doesn't matter how good your ideas are. You're not going to be received well, and you're not going to be able to connect. And your desire to connect is just going to get you, like, killed, basically. So then that's where you, as a spirit, would have to be very conscious if you're about to go into any world, of what time you enter that world. And of course, then the location and everything. So notice, like, that's all vibrational. So this is why it's important to be connected when you step outside of your space. And this is the essence of Hermanubis, the essence of Mercury and Atlantis working together. Because when I, as Mercury, am called away to then be chased and step out of my space to put on the face and fall with grace to show you how to build your own place, it's very important that Anubis is facilitating connections around me. So this is where Anubis is like constantly, he's literally my guard dog. It's so lit. And yeah, let me get into this because there's like levels to this. Because literally the whole point of earth and water. So I'm here as earth. So I'm here building the structures. So anytime I'm speaking, I'm building, literally. And Anubis is around me in the subconscious world, in the astral realm, in higher dimensions, higher vibrations, watering and creating the connections that allow 4 + 2 to make 6. And now we're having sex with each other. And now we're creating a simulation that spirits can connect on. So this is how we built Teotihuacan. This is why he and I are so passionate, of course, about the colonization of the Americas. We built this. It is so wild how I only learned this recently. Because I wasn't supposed to let that get in the way of who I was as Chase. Like, or else I would have wanted to communicate it. So this is why it's important for you to be a spirit shutting off your awareness at certain times. Because when you have your awareness turned off, that allows you to be way more relatable. So that's the point of you coming into a baby, just not like immediately talking about how much of an individual you are. Like the whole point of you being born into a simulation is that you are riding a wave, a vibe. That's the point. That's why, like, as far as being the synchronicity, you being the synchronicity, you are in the perfect place at the perfect time based on how you're communicating, because it's all about riding your own vibe and making sure that the way you communicate facilitates the proper relationship, right? So this is where life is one big relationship in terms of you using your body to sail and connect with the universe. And so all of us as spirits, all of us as gods, we all just have one relationship, as I've said, right? And that's a relationship. We have 2 relationships, really. But to boil it down, I'm saying we have one relationship, and that's a relationship with your universe. And you are the center of your universe, so that's your relationship with you. But then that's where everyone that is in your life is a reflection of you. And not literally a reflection of you, but they are in resonance with you in some degree for you to have created similar enough energy that allows you to communicate in the first place. And then if you actually resonate enough to connect, then you very well may feel like that spirit is a reflection of you. The reason Anubis is my twin flame is because he knows that I'm not a reflection of him. I'm a reflection of myself. And I love that. Like, this is like, it's so hard, it seems, to find that. Like, even like my friend will still say that I'm a reflection of him, and I still like see that around and stuff sometimes. And like I brought up that I do not like that because it erases individuality. But then I get the point of like when people are super in their water, they like the idea, and like they mainly relate with the idea that you are a reflection of them. But I just don't. I hate that idea. Like, because all you're doing is claiming that I'm saying something that you know or said, you're just like taking my feelings basically. Because then it's just basically like your desire to connect makes you feel like you were already at where I just brought you based on me communicating. So if like I communicate some air that then brings you up into a higher reality, your desire to connect allows you to be like, wow, you're a great reflection of me. So now you can feel like you can take credit for what I just said. And then you're going to colonize it as a white supremacist type mentality and regurgitate it out like you made it up. Like how the medical industry uses my caduceus. So, thank you, Anubis, for being my twin flame. This birthday trip was so lit. So, listening to Children, that song is so fire. It was so good. And so every party, it was entering stars. Like literally, it was so awesome. It's literally like being in outer space, but like astral realm, because it's all lights. And it was like, it's all like feelings, and it was so fast. And it's all shapes and forms and everything. It's just not nearly as physical. It's way more ethereal. It's way more magical. It's way more mystical. It's way more esoteric, basically. Like way more like a physical dream. Like way more, yeah. Honestly, more real than here. So, these parties were so cool. So it was like we were talking, we were hanging out, and then we went into one party. So it was like out in the universe, it's just like black purpleness, and we're flying. It's real like Dragon Ball Z stuff too. So that's where, again, Dragon Ball Z being spiritual, anime in general being spiritual, is spirits communicating the astral realm into shows so that we can encapsulate it and make money off of it, right? We're building structures in this language. It's all here in the language. So us as spirits doing this, very cool, because it plays out in all these different realms and realities in different ways. So now that I'm reflecting upon it, there's so much that happened that I could really break down. This really could come out into like 3 hours of a podcast comedy, because I can keep it shorter for sure. It's way more vibrational, and yeah, it's just so visual, and it's just way more freeing then. And that's why, like, it's just expressing myself down here feels so limited, yet also I love it. I have a lot of fun. Like, I love words. That is why I'm Tahuti. I love all this stuff because I'm really good at it. And then that is the point of like symmetry, and why I'm called away from my space, because I'm literally the champion for nature. Like, nature picks me. When you see me in a simulation, just know that nature called me away from my nature, from my inward. So, from Mercury, when these parties are so cool. So it's like flying through the universe, and it feels cool. I'm gonna like just describe this organically. I'm gonna stop getting in my own way, because right now I kind of keep stuttering on myself and not getting fully to the experience, because I'm also just so baffled by how much I'm able to somatically reflect and observe upon what happened. So, flying through the universe, we're headed to one party, and each party is like an echo chamber. So each echo chamber is basically a star. Like when you look at those stars, right? So think of the universe. Each star is a simulation. That's why it's kind of the same frequency. We're in a star simulation. Stars exist in the universe. The universe is a representation of you, but you are not the universe. You are creating the feeling of connecting with a spirit outside of you. And that allows you to connect with all the spirits who also feel like connecting with a spirit outside of you. And now we're all finding the spirits that we are in resonance with. So, it was just so awesome. This is so cool. Putting it in words, reflecting, translating. Whoa. All right. Magic. So flying out in the astral realm, right? It's cold, it's cool, it's awesome. I guess they call it the duat. It's just it's literally just um, the waters that connect all stars. And the difference between a star and a planet is like a star is just a practical planet. Like a star is where I was. Right now we're on a planet. So planet is Earth, the star is water. Literally. Like in this way, the star is like a whole vibrational echo chamber of spirits who want to connect with each other inside of the universe. When they want to make that practical, they turn it into a planet. And then they start to use astrology to plan it out. And then they'll probably call me away to be Mercury for that too. So that's where right now we're on a planet, right? We use astrology, we're on Earth. Separate your mind from your body, you can go hang out in a star. And you can go speak with spirits who make up stars and make up what you literally look up at the night sky to when you're in a physical body. It's awesome. Because spirits are creating all these things. It's just about your ability to communicate with them, your ability to mentally pilot out and make things happen. That's where when we stepped into that first party, it was wild. Oh my gosh. So look, none of this is made up. And when I say none of this is made up, I mean as in obviously life is made up. Like we're creating life, that's the point. But I'm about to like just straight up flow and just say things because I'm really tired of like laughing and getting in my way. Lol. One more hit ... until next time. When spirits are making a party, it's all about just cultivating the vibe that you want. So literally, there's so many stars in the universe. They're all vibes. Each one is just like a vibe, and they're all connected by one vibe. So really, like each star is energy, right? So the planet is matter. So that's again where we on Earth right now, we are matter. Whereas when one is mentally in a star, they're way more energy. It's all connected by the vibration because that's the universe. So it just feels more like the vibration because you can do what you feel like. And then that's like the point of the party. So you're just like way more able to do what you feel like. It was so cool. Like this trip was so intense. Especially because like I just took like 3 fat hits, like stone face, and I just lied down and played the song on blast and flew away. And literally flew away, was hanging out with my dog, prepared for the parties with Anubis. We're talking. He makes so many jokes with me. We have so much fun making jokes and talking. I love him so much. I really miss him when I buried him and everything. I miss having a physical body of him. Like, life would be so wild if he came back as a dog. Like, I low-key can't imagine, but I would. But I low-key can't. Because I just wonder if he would he's way more practical working in the astral realm, working in the subconscious realm. And to be responsible for him as a dog does not sound very fun. Like, I think it worked out perfectly with me as Chase and him as Max and us living with our mom, Audrey. A beautiful representation of Chi Mama. And now getting to like reflect on all of that, just know that life is precious. And I like that. But also, I'm 1000% completely open to him coming back as a dog, because that's why I created symmetry. The idea of symmetry, like if this life gets to the point of us actually physically having superpowers and manifesting our light bodies and consciously and just being on incredible levels of communication, then I want him to be here as a dog and us to be hanging out, and it would be like Scooby-Doo vibes, like just Shaggy and Scooby-Doo, like exactly that vibe, where we can talk, we're hanging out, like absolutely, like bro, I want nothing more than that. Like that's the point of symmetry. I made him to carry Max with him in the costume. That's why the ears are like that. And then ideally, the costume would materialize off, and then it would be me hanging out with my dog. But then my power gets amplified when I wear my dog. So I literally just, that was the concept of symmetry, and I didn't realize how that was Hermanubis until a fasting and psychedelic trip that happened this year. So awesome. And there was like a whole point where I looked in the mirror and like literally the light in the room, everything manipulated so that my image turned into like the statue of us at the Vatican, but like real, because we like have real hair and it's like me looking at me in the mirror. It was so gnarly. Anything's possible. Life is perception. It's all light. So you can, use your mind to take the split away from your body, and then you can travel to the astral realm and you can perceive stars from a totally higher vibration. And that looks like literally being in light bodies that allow you to communicate on higher levels, like I did on my birthday, and like I do anytime I'm splitting my mind from my body and communicating with spirits in that way. So entering the star, the moment we enter the star, it was like hearing music, but the music perfectly coincided with the music I'm listening to is Chase. And it's just so cool, because then I'm in there in the party having conversations. So I'm like a light body, and there's hella trees. So there's a bunch of palm trees, actually. It's like big beach vibes, because it's very light. So it's like a very light party with all these palm tree beach vibes and just a bunch of spirits just dancing and just having a good time. And we're like, whoa, and then we just go in there and like we're dancing and like we're just having like a super duper good time. And then we exit out and we're back in the darkness after like partying for so long, and then we go to another party and then we have another good time. And like this star is like, you know, also like yellow. So it was like segments of going from yellow, orange, like white, gold, like ooh, party with like hints of green, and then like the shapes are like very natural and I mean very psychedelic, of course. And just like like all these spirits like dancing and like smiling and having fun and like having conversations with them, and just like packing in so many experiences of parties. You know, like just like talking to so many spirits. It's so funny because it's just vibing, and you're just like dancing together, having an awesome time. And then Anubis and I would leave a party and travel through the universe. So travel through like the black purpleness in our mental bodies. We'd be flying and we'd be reflecting upon the party as we're going to a new party. So we're just like party hopping from star to star to star to star. But in between the stars, we're reflecting upon the parties and our experiences in there, which honestly, it's hilarious because in college, that's honestly my favorite time of any party, is going out interacting with a bunch of spirits, but going out with a certain group of spirits that you can convene with afterwards when you're like super lit and reflect upon the party and learn and gain a bunch of wisdom from like all the spirits that you are interacting with, and being able to communicate about what happened at the party and reflect upon it. It's just, I love that. So that was like the most fun parts of the trip. Like the parties were super fun and they were necessary for the setup of me getting to talk deeper with Anubis. So like and that was like the main point of the party. The main point of my birthday celebration, as far as this trip, was getting to connect with Anubis and getting to party with him, and like getting to go to these stars, be individual inside the star, party individually, and then connect with him, leaving the party, and then we're vibing outside the party, traveling to another star, and then we enter the atmosphere of that star, and then we're partying there, and then we're like, hey, 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 and just hanging out, having a good time, and then we leave. And it was really cool because the conversations with him were very serious, because we just do that as far as like coming out of the parties, and like we reflect upon seeing how when spirits start having fun, when spirits want to have fun and they start connecting, it's really easy for demonic spirits, for evil spirits, for like cobalt mine, white supremacist colonizer spirits to sit back and create thoughts and feelings and ideas around how they can make money and build structures off of how spirits have fun. And that's, of course, the white supremacist lifestyle that we're living through right now, where it's all about colonizing how spirits have fun so that you can build your own structures off of it and do your own messed up stuff. And this just the thing is, life is somatic. So with life being somatic, life is always an expression of a spirit's subconscious. So if you're living in a society that's harvesting you and cannibalizing you, they can't help but communicate it through all of their art and through their expressions. And it's like so interesting and amazing how when we would party, it's so weird. The Virgo in me wants to say it was a waste of time. The point was to connect with Anubis. I had so much fun. Why don't I feel like fun is a waste of time? It's probably because I'm perhaps so in like Tahuti mode right now. Clearly, like I was in Hermes mode, and like the whole point is like it is fun, and it set me up to be able to make it practical for it to build a structure. It's amazing how all those spirits were just partying, and Anubis and I were just reflecting upon like, yeah, isn't it wild how they're kind of just wasting their time? You know, because spirits are straight up doing that. So that's where the more we started partying, so like we were hopping from party to party, and we're having star to star to star to star, and at some point I started getting bored. Like I'm having fun because I'm with him and we're partying, but internally I'm getting bored looking back. And we were talking about that, and he knew that, and like that's the point of why we're twin flames, because he is too. Because he's like, yo, we do shit that matters, bro. You feel me? And these white supremacists, these light supremacist stars up here that are only concerned with connecting with each other and creating an echo chamber of fun, their ignorance that makes them blissful is what allows atrocities to happen in the universe, because they don't care enough to help others. So really reflecting on it, it was like a whole lesson of me learning about being Mercury, being symmetry, and the importance of like me appreciating how my spirit just is so naturally inclined to building Mercury, building a simulation, building structures that facilitate spirits to be able to more consciously, harmoniously, and happily connect with other spirits. And that's why Anubis supports me in that. And that's the point of Atlantis. Anubis creates Atlantis because Atlantis is literally about connections. And basically it just seems like Atlantis rules over the universe at that point. As far as interdimensionally, like no one can touch Atlantis in interdimensional travel. It's impossible. Actually. There's no spirits out here doing interdimensional travel like Atlantis is. And Atlantis is constantly updating it. And this is the point of life. We're all constantly updating. So our spirits have been at this. And our spirits will always be at this. And whatever limited body representation that we have of that is exactly that, meant to limit it and anchor it into whatever reality you are observing us in a grounded way. Just know we're way more infinite than you could ever possibly perceive. Straight up. And it's really awesome being able to use light to express ourselves. That's just what it's all about at that point. And that's literally, it's that simple. It's simply symmetry. To be so focused on using technology to forcibly spread genocide and enslave indigenous people, to try and figure out how to do that without natural alchemy, is disgusting. And I don't have, again, strong enough words for how disgusting that is and why I'm so passionate about what's going on here. It was a very cool birthday trip. Because after like flying through all those stars and talking to him, it was like a whole just conversations on, yeah, see how when spirits just have a bunch of fun and they're just focused on having a good time, all they want to, like, other spirits easily manipulate them. Like, you're easily manipulatable spirit when you're only focused on connecting with others and having a good time. Because now you don't care how you connect with others. And now you don't care how you have a good time. So now it's easy for people to like colonize this space. It's easy for spirits who are actually like not good for you to come into your space and colonize it and actually create a situation where your ability to party and communicate is actually hurting your body and serving structures that aren't serving you. And that literally looks like what's happening physically down here, where people are partying and they want to connect with each other, but they can only do so by eating junk food and eating garbage and fast food and killing their bodies and fueling a medical system because they're at the whim of the environment. And they're not willing to do the hard hermetic thing of connecting with themselves and increasing their ST ability, stabilizing their snakes into their own spine. So after all those parties, Anubis took me to his esoteric home, and it was so lit because it was like after that we flew and it was like getting to be lighter purple, and then I stepped into, because it's like stepping, it's like a mind like touching down then, because it's literally just atmospheres, right? Like touching down, going up, like twisting, turning, going places. It's so cool. Because it's literally atmospheres, your mental awareness, to just fly, to let your intentions and feelings carry you. So then like we touched down into like it's like a cave in the side of a mountain, and then that mountain there's like aurora borealis on the outside, and it's just like super colorful, super cosmic astral realm outside, but we're inside a cave. But it's like a situation like you would see in a National Geographic magazine, or just one of those like super awesome nature magazines where you see a hollowed out cave, and inside this cave it's super lush, like on some if Aladdin was a millionaire and he stayed in his little cubby and decked it out, but in the side of a cave type vibe. It was so lit, and it was definitely like taking a little magic carpet ride there. So shout out DMT and Aladdin doing the magic carpet ride and taking Jasmine for a magic carpet ride. That's all DMT. Straight up. Shout out Aladdin. Do you trust me? Hell yeah. Love you, Anubis. So then we just touched down and we're just like talking and we're just like vibing. And honestly, we talked about a lot of things that I don't have to get into because it's already like details and stuff, because there's still more to get into with the story of Hermanubis, I suppose, and wrapping it up. But more so, those are personal details that are twin flame things. We talked about a lot of twin flame things, and I'll cry. I was so overjoyed. And he's literally just, it was amazing. He's telling me about past lives. So then when I came back, I was given the gift for my birthday of learning from me about myself from my dog. And just like now getting to communicate about it. Now here we are building the symmetry. Pretty neat. So, and now the sun's coming up. There it is. Do I have water, bro? So the point of the symmetry, of course, is Mercury. It is to relay the message of how you as a spirit create life by connecting with yourself. And life is just the physical structures that express your imagination. And that comes out of you being alone. Now, if you don't connect with yourself by being alone, then you're going to consume the structures that other spirits created by being alone. So it's playing out regardless. Yeah, so that birthday trip, very neat. Because after all of that, then I like came back into my body and opened my eyes, became aware of this world again, and got to talk with my friend about the experience and process it, and then talk to another friend, and it was very neat. So the whole point of me as a spirit, as Irisel, is that I've learned how to triple my C, triple my communication ability by connecting my Mercury with Atlantis. And by connecting with Atlantis, basically like this, and now let me just go back in history, I guess a little intuitively, because that was the whole point of me as Chikitet learning in Atlantis. I low-key am going to say from Anubis, because he's kind of my ancestor in that regard. Even though he considers me his god. This is why we have such an amazing relationship. Because it's like, he's older than me. He's old. He's incredibly old. He's true. I mean, he created Atlantis. He creates Atlantis. He's the god of the dead. He's constantly out here making connections. So he literally creates Atlantis, and he considers me the god of air and earth. That's where I consider him the god of fire and water. He is the one who connects me to the universe. He is my dog. I love to be alone, but my thing is, I love being alone so much, I'll just stay alone forever. And Anubis is, honestly, I'm gonna start crying. Anubis he always teaches me the importance of family. I love you so much, Anubis. It's so cool. I have to call my mom. I already talked to her yesterday. I have to talk to people. Anubis just shows me like the importance of water. I have no water in my chart, alright? So, and I'm an emotional person, but I'm like practically emotional. And that's why he picks me. That's why Anubis loves me so much. Just because I logically choose to be practically emotional about all spirits that aren't me. Because I feel like that's right. Like, that's just it. I feel like you being an individual, you being an infinite individual alone in your space is proper. Because then when I reflect upon the universe and I'm able to see everything from my simulation of Mercury, then the simulations that spirits create from being happy, being alone, will just express that. Instead of all this spiritual warfare that we have. Because all this spiritual warfare is insanely unnecessary. It is only ever coming from the root of a spirit not being happy alone in their space. It's only ever that. That's always the root of this spiritual warfare, and breaking anyone's consent. And so it's just like, then I feel like you're emotionally dumb if you're not happy being alone in your space. And that's just basically it, right? Like, you have no emotional intelligence. You're emotionally chaotic. Thus, you are a consumptive spirit. You're not creative. You're not artistic. You're probably going to become a white supremacist, because now you're going to want to use the creations that you've consumed to continuously colonize more spirits' creations. And then that's going to look like slavery and genocide and everything that we're dealing with in this physical reality that's super horrible, that I am very angry about. So, like, the whole point is, life gets like this when spirits aren't aware or aren't happy alone. And it becomes a chronic problem of spirits not being happy alone. So when spirits are chronically not happy alone, right, now they're just all consuming each other's attention. And then you get the toxic form of a star, where instead of spirits like partying together, they're just going to war together. But because they don't know how to connect with themselves, they would rather fight each other than be alone and love themselves, because their form of loving themselves is fighting other spirits. It's interesting. Me as a spirit making a body in Atlantis a long time ago and just getting connected through Atlantis is what has allowed me to triple my C and become the cosmic chi conductor. It was in a very wild acid trip when I went back home with the 3 gold pyramids, the 3 orange pyramid tabs, that Atlantis, Anubis, and the death spirits all came to me in like light bodies, and they're like, you are not projecting, we are here communicating to you about you. You are you. Because I was still just like having weird ego stuff of like, am I really Thoth? Because all the ego conditioning of this world. And I just had to kept asking that question, and they literally taken all these bodies. It was a whole council meeting. They were like, you're triple C. We call you the cosmic chi conductor. I'm like, oh shit. I can't run from this. I just feel more powered now. You're my dog. It's so lit. So, love you, Max. So, it was like big time in that trip where I'm like, okay, yes, I'm building in this lifetime upon past lifetimes. I get it. That's the point. I'm Triple C. I'm Chase Clarence Calloway. I'm the cosmic chi conductor. So, they're choosing me, symmetry as a champion of nature, to be the cosmic chi conductor, which is what the caduceus represents and what your spine represents. That's me when I come in with my caduceus. I'm using it to relay the message of how you as a spirit are using your spine, you're using your own body to stabilize your ability to express your infinite nothingness. And that is like your baseline of alchemy right there. So this is why the spine is very important to me, just organically as Chase. Get into decolonize your face. If you're not in decolonize your face, get that spine right. Get that spine right. The spine's everything. Straight up. We've been sitting so much. I know you've been sitting and looking down. Everyone's got a phone. Humans are not looking up anymore. Humans are now looking down in this wave of planet Earth. All right, this is why I'm here, because this wave is like so massive. It's comedy. It's wild. But again, it's just spirits being spirits. All right, there's so many spirits at those parties. There's at that point, numbers are like, you can't quantify it in terms of that. It's way more esoteric, yeah, than that in terms of like quality and quantity. But whatever. Really just individuality. And you just being yourself. That simple. So, through Atlantis, then Anubis and I go ahead, we build Egypt, we build the pyramids, we take Atlantis interdimensional, because that's what it means as far as Atlantis being underwater and like going underwater. It is really realizing that everything in the universe, that is, because everything that's Earth is thus connected by water. So the ultimate interdimensional technology is your mind. And any technology that you can build with your mind that's in vibrational resonance with the universe in like a high way will allow you to go interdimensional and create higher simulations that then allow you to create connections in lower, denser simulations. And then this would be like consciously using one's ability to raise one's awareness into the higher reality to build life from the top down, like a pyramid and everything. So Right. Because with everything being underwater, literally life is vibrational. So we're talking about like high vibrational technology that allows you to communicate versus low vibrational technology. So if you have low vibrational technology, then you're just going to be in like a really dense watery atmosphere and you're going to be kind of working against yourself versus high vibrational technology where you're just more in resonance with your spirit based on how you want to connect with other spirits, and that allows you to quote unquote go interdimensional based on what you build from there. So Atlantis went interdimensional and Egypt was about bringing that to Earth, literally. So Atlantis, we're already water, we're already here, we're doing our thing, we're coming out, we're indigenous, it's all nature, it's natural, boom boom, love nature. And from there we realize that the interdimensional technology that allows us to truly communicate however we want is our minds. So Atlantis is literally us being like purely in our water element. So all of us are like just basically we're just connecting and we're naturally creating connections because we naturally connect with ourselves. So that's what it means to be indigenous in that way, just to naturally create your connections, naturally connect with other spirits based on how you connect with yourself. And that's what naturally creates nature and life. And from there, we create our minds. So I literally tripled my C inside of that water, created my caduceus, became Chase Clarence Calloway, stabilized my spine, and then became known as Thoth, the Atlantean, or Tahuti. And from there, by using my mind, I'm able to travel up from the water and build pyramids from the top down. So then that's how like it would play out in an atmosphere form, as far as like the water being dense, fluid. Spirits who are just focused on connecting, they are lost. And not lost, but they're just reacting to each other in a dense vibe, versus a spirit who can triple his C. If he can trip C, realize that life is trippy, go psychedelic, and make 3 times 3 equal 9, and have that high 9-dimensional perspective, now he can actually see life from the top down and build structures that help everyone instead of trying to work from the bottom up. And then that would be like building pyramids of ascension. So that's what Egypt is. That's how I built the pyramids. And then that's how, of course, I had like a very specific, powerful squad of women who were all hermetically, somatically trained and cleansed and prepared to then help me build these structures. And that's how I built the pyramids throughout Egypt, and then built everything in Teotihuacan, Mesoamerica, and just built everything in general. Because then it's about me being Tahuti. So realizing as Chase is the water, Hermes is the air, Tahuti is the earth. So me as a spirit, as Irisel, as the nothingness, making an imagination, I connect it by chasing my desire to teach wisdom, which results in, right, Chase, the water, results in Hermes, because Chase communicates his imagination into the water that looks like Hermes flying out into simulations. And then inside that simulation, that turns into me, quote unquote. I mean, but it's all me, of course, right? But it turns into me as Thoth, Tahuti, being the one who's actually building the pyramid, being the one who's actually building the structure. So these are all then just like expressions of what I'm doing simultaneously at any moment. And Symmetry is a superhero that combines all that, because Chase doesn't like this white supremacy wave, and he's gone through experiences that has made him create something that he can believe in over all the stuff that is trying to colonize his mind. And by creating this thing that he can believe in, now here he is learning way more about himself than he thought possible. Even like, 4 years ago? I mean, 3 years ago. Not even 2 years ago. So, it was from there that now we create life consciously. And these are the roles, and these are like the titles that have then been instilled throughout history. Now you can like Google all these things and like see everything will make way more sense right now that I've explained it like this, because it's elementally, that's how it's charted out. So Atlantis has developed even stronger, because the more Egypt developed, the more Atlantis developed. It's not the fall of Atlantis. Atlantis goes interdimensional, and then I'm bringing Atlantis to Earth by making Egypt. And then that also allows Atlanteans and people in Earth to work from the bottom up, because we make bodies to experience life from the bottom up, because we're creating life from the top down to experience it from the bottom up, of course. Yeah, so from there, building Teotihuacan, then it's just Anubis and I are just out here building. And honestly, like, that's it. Like, now what you being here with me is literally continuously building what we do. So that's where you can look up everything on Google and just see that the whole white supremacist society that we're living in, the Vatican especially, they're all obsessed with colonizing and consuming and trying to twist the things that we've created to serve them. So that's why things are happening the way that they are. Because it's like wild, and the vibration's like very chaotic for you to be wanting to do things in this way. Pretty wild. So this is why I've been called here. This is why I'm building this. This is why I've been talking for 2 hours and 30 minutes. Because it's straight up about getting the record straight, actually. Like, it's about getting the truth out. And now I get to learn about myself from the truth. Otherwise, I'm lost in a lie. Otherwise, I believe I'm Chase Clarence Calloway based on what the government labeled me. And now I'm stuck in a home. I'm stuck in the infinite 8 vibe that everyone else is trapped in. And I think not. I think it's important for me to connect with my nothingness and know I'm a spirit, so I know I'm always creating heaven, and that's going to naturally be the expression of me. So now I'm always actually in vibrational resonance with who I am before, because I'm not getting lost in the vibe of being told who I am. I'm connecting with myself to listen to who I am. And I've gone through too many experiences of flying around outside of this universe where all these other simulations, like, it is so clear cut that I am who I am. I'm like very much acknowledged as this spirit. So, I mean, it's hilarious because this confidence has to be here as far as me coming back from all these experiences, and then dealing with people like, no, well, you're not really this spirit, or else you'd change this. Like, well, no, you're just lost in wanting to be saved again. You want me to do something that would interrupt the vibe of everything that we got going on. Right now, we are communicating in a grounded way because that's the point of life. So if you're not willing to listen to me communicate to you, and instead you just want me to transform reality in a way that would serve you, but also then would make me reactive to you, and you just want things to be changed in ways that you won't change them for yourself, you're just showing me how weak of a spirit you are. So, shout out Anubis. I, as Mercury, build simulations alone, and Anubis is the water that rains upon them so spirits can create life in the simulation, because he believes in how I triple my C. So, thank you, Anubis. You're very awesome. Because it's just all elemental. It's all about how you resonate with certain emotions, and how that then plays out in you literally living out a physical kind of lifestyle than other spirits. Literally. Because of course you gotta have balance in life. So whatever elements you resonate with as a spirit, as we've talked about before, you're going to have to literally have a balance of that element. So with me being so much earth, that's why I have water in my life, because earth and water is what creates life. So I build structures, right? So I'm building this earth, but earth is separate from everything else. So me being a Taurus and a Virgo, it's all inside of a Gemini space, right? So my Gemini space is infinitely connected to the universe through communication. That's why Anubis then comes in as my water, my dog, my connector, and as the god of the dead, brings souls, brings spirits, brings connections, rains them down into the simulation, so that then we can all stabilize the way that we connect, because water is very chaotic. So this is literally our synchronistic psychopompic psychedelic role, as far as me building structures that he then gets spirits connected to so that we can get life popping. And then he also facilitates connections around me, because as Hermanubis, that's how we kind of just operate as far as a business. When I get called out of my space, and it's a situation like this, where there are situations that outside of myself that I can't control, I at the very least have like my special guy. Like Anubis is like my man outside the simulation, literally, who then has me connected to the whole operation, and I can just like tap into our operation, and it's truly like some cosmic spy stuff at that point. So it's like that level of being able to communicate with him and facilitate how I'm communicating with the simulation, and him being able to relay messages and everything, and manipulate reality around me straight up, based on how he's able to connect with spirits that are building the simulation in a way that I consciously can't, because he's literally working from the astral realm, whereas I'm here experiencing the result of what is being created from the astral realm, which is the physical simulation. Because again, we are all spirits first creating the astral realm before we create the simulation. It's just about where are we mainly operating right now, and what degree of vibration are we mainly operating in. This has been the Mind of Mercury. much love to you. I hope you enjoyed this story of Hermanubis and getting to hear a little bit of the history of Earth from the man himself, Hermes Trismegistus. Gang gang.